Friends, I'm grateful that you made time to be here. I know it was a sacrifice, both of your work time and your family time. And so I want to thank you for all those sacrifices, great and small. We have a lot of important work to do together. In the rhythm of our quadrennium, it's time now to lay the groundwork for our 2016 General Conference. I know that may sound silly, but when you start backing out things that need to happen by General Conference, this is the time in which we begin our preparations. And it matters that we're clear about our responsibilities, both as staff and board, as we move into this time. Our legislative committee, Amy, where are you? Stand up.
So you can shoot me?
No. No. Our legislative committee is chaired by Reverend Amy Gerhardt. She brings great knowledge and experience to her task. We're grateful for her assuming this responsibility, and we need to thank her redundantly. As we know, our smaller board size is both a challenge and an opportunity. My metaphor is that it's the difference between driving a school bus, big yellow school bus, and a red Miata. There's adjustments that we all need to make as we deal with this change, and we're still discovering those challenges and opportunities. I was reflecting with some of the executive staff last night, and it seemed to occur to all of us at once that while at the General Conference we moved from a 65-member board to a 22-member board, they gave us additional work. So putting those two things together has been a challenge. Witness the fact that our agenda shift was due to the fact that our Young Clergy Initiative selection team needed more time to finish processing the grant requests, and so that's why we had to make that agenda change. And they are persons that we need to thank as well. Would y'all stand up, please? Staff included. Young Clergy Initiative selection team. Thank you so much. This is a huge job, huge, and thankless, relatively. And also, we were, DJ is also on that selection team, so they were working one member short as well. As I reflect on my role and our working relationship, I think that all of us in professional work and professional roles understand that job descriptions are an incomplete map for the territory. The latest and best gift to me in this role was attending NASCM last week, National Association of Schools and Colleges of the United Methodist Church. Dr. Ted Brown and Dr. David Beckley were there as members of our board who were also at NASCM. We had some other folks there as well. But the facilitator was Ronald Heifetz, the author of Leadership Without Easy Answers and the Practice of Adaptive Leadership. It was very rich, very helpful. It was comparatively like eating white chocolate. It was just really rich. And most of you know that Heifetz is the guru, the author of these books about adaptive leadership, and where we as the Methodist Church are talking about adaptive challenge, adaptive leadership. It's all of these applications are taken from as the origin is his work. He is currently a professor at the Kennedy School of Management at Harvard Business School and a frequent contributor to the Harvard Business Review. So this was a great opportunity for our presidents to sit at the feet of the master and me to be a fly on the wall. Heifetz is Jewish, and to his Methodist audience, he acknowledged that Jesus was one of their best boys. I took 8 pages of notes, single-spaced, And I want to briefly share some things that I think he said that I think inform our work together, and line out some challenges and responsibilities and opportunities that I think spring from his ideas. Some things suggest that we're on the right path, and some things suggest we need course corrections. Before Heifetz was a teacher and student of leadership, he was a cellist and a physician. So many of his metaphors and lots of his language are both musical and scientific. He talked about leading a board as an exercise in an orchestra director, and I thought that was an interesting metaphor. But his background in science, he made some interesting observations. In nature, the evolutionary question is, what is essential and what is expendable? What is essential and what is expendable? What innovation needs to take place? What innovation needs to happen to take our best selves forward? He said nature is highly conservative. God didn't do zero-based budgeting. God tinkered with what is and accumulates new capacities over time. Highly transformative change is also conservative. Jesus knew this when he gave us the parable about the wheat and the weeds. You have to be careful when you're pulling out the weeds not to pull out the wheat as well. We must both be enthusiastic about change and hold it with what needs to be conserved. Sadly, we pick fights that are unnecessary because it's all about change rather than about what should be preserved. Our community, I realized this as he was talking, that our community, the United Methodist Church, is a natural ecosystem facing many challenges. Variations create greater ability to adapt to suit other environments. And here I think is a crucial question for us as a board and for our United Methodist Church. How can we allow local adaptation yet general diversity? How can we allow local adaptation yet general diversity? I think this is the adaptive challenge of the United Methodist Church. This is what we are after. This is the goal, I believe, of developing a global discipline. The gradual realization that one size does not fit all, and how can we adapt and learn that we must anchor innovation in what is essential. One of the best parts as I was listening to him was the realization that, friends, we're doing a lot of things right. We're doing a lot of things right. He says that innovative solutions often lie within us. We don't need to import solutions. And I think this is what we're doing in our Young Clergy Initiative and our Central Conference Theological Initiative. By the process that we set up, we aren't setting up a new bureaucracy, hiring people to run around and do this Young Clergy Initiative. We're taking the work back to the people by receiving grants, funding new initiatives. Innovation is experimental. The other thing he said that I think we all need to take to heart is that experimentation is dangerous. Experiment has the same root as peril, as danger. You can blow up the lab. In the Young Clergy Initiative, we're running a lot of experiments at the same time. And he also said that experimentation, we have to be able to tolerate a high rate of failure. in experimentation. But most of us, myself included, want the big play. We want the solution, the magic bullet. And it doesn't happen that way. Lots of people bet the farm and lose the farm, and they go under. We need to convince the church to experiment and have a higher tolerance for risk and failure. We need to be highly conservative and highly experimental at the same time. That's what nature does. 1% of our DNA, 1% of our DNA is different from a chimpanzee. Think about that. Part of our task as a board is to create a safe environment for these experiments to grow. Give them time to come to fruition. And part of your role as a board member will be to convince General Conference to give the Young Clergy Initiative another quadrennium for this purpose. I know the proposal that was approved said it would be a 12-year process, but you and I both know that General Conferences have short memories. So we need to remind them that this is experimental and that what we're experimenting with needs time to come to fruition. You don't plant something and then pull it up every 20 minutes to see if it's growing. So as a board member of GBHEM, you are here because you have different slivers of expertise and experience that we bring together as an orchestra, as different instruments. You are an essential resource and you have your sphere of influence. You keep us in touch with our rapidly changing environment. And a 1% shift makes a huge difference in time. We must help the church build a capacity to be sustainable through long periods of disequilibrium. There will be losses. There will be pain. It is up to us to depersonalize conflict. We need to remind ourselves and others that the issue is change, not each other. There are changes both in our internal and external environments. Our staff has changed a great deal and will continue to change. We've had 3 changes in the executive staff team and 3 changes in the program management team. More retirements are forthcoming. This is Rena's last meeting with us. Her retirement date is at the end of the month, and she's working to the last second. That's just who she is. It is also Tom Carter's last meeting with us. His retirement date is January 1. Myron's role shift has created a need for a new person in his former role. Vicki Brown has left us to assume an editor position at UMCOM. This is a great opportunity for her. As we seek to respond to the ongoing and evolving work given to us by the connectional table, we are reorganizing the work of the executive team by acknowledging that more and more of our work is cross-divisional. More and more of our work is cross-divisional and global. So you have many moving parts. Hence the creation of the Associate General Secretary of Administration and Operations. Hence the new Director of Research, Mark McCormick. There are lots of moving parts because we are part of an ecosystem, the United Methodist Church, that is changing. I see these changes and opportunities to pursue greater diversity among our staff. We are publicizing these openings within all our ethnic caucuses, and I intend to hire highly qualified, effective persons of color every chance I get. We need your help. If you know of persons whose gifts and expertise match these roles that we are filling, please let me know. please let me know. We need your help. These roles will remain open until we find the right person or until the right person finds us. We will receive the findings of the communications audit, which will also inform our work as we move forward. The DVL folks are going to come and bring that report. I am excited about the results. It is very interesting and highly complimentary of our staff. I've asked Marcy Smeck, a communications professional, to act as our interim communications officer until that role is filled. So to use Heifetz's model, our job as a general board is to move from the balcony to the dance floor, back to the balcony to the dance floor, back to the balcony to the dance floor, to help us keep in touch with our environment, both within and without our United Methodist ecosystem. To talk about Heifetz's adaptive challenge is the lens that we're using in the United Methodist Church today. And these are the generative questions that I see before us. What is essential? What is expendable? What innovation needs to happen to take the best of ourselves forward? What builds clergy leadership capacity in the United Methodist Church? What creates space for innovation and gives it the protection it needs to flourish? What model allows local adaptation yet general diversity? I was really heartened by hearing Heifetz speak, because adaptive work is teaching, is learning who needs to learn what. And I guess that's the final question for us, is what do we need to learn as adaptive leaders? No pressure. What we're doing in our World Cafe format this afternoon and tomorrow is to help you as board members get on the balcony of our work, see what parts of our work are going to be discussed and at issue at General Conference, so that you will know, you will be informed about the issues, and you will understand the ecosystem of each particular area. And so I hope that we are doing what is needed to help us move together into a highly reactive, a rapidly changing environment in our world. I was reminded of this story as I listened to Heifetz. The story is told of Albert Einstein when he was teaching physics at physics at Princeton. It was time for the final exam in his class, and his teaching assistant was distributing the exam. And as the students received the test, a murmur went among the students. And so finally one of the braver students raises his hand and he says, "Dr. Einstein, the test we just received is the wrong test. This is the test you gave us at midterm. I think there's been a mistake." And Einstein replied, "Oh, there's no mistake. You're right. This is the same test, but the answers are different." So I think this is our situation in leaders in the United Methodist Church. The questions are the same. How are we going to provide clergy leaders for the church? But now the answers are very different. When once there was great convergence about what leadership looked like, now there is growing divergence. Friends, you can even buy a Coke with your name on it. Think about that. Where once there was great convergence about what leadership looked like, now there is growing divergence. And diverging contexts require diverging gifts, diverging knowledge. So how do we maintain our purpose with flexible strategies? Our purpose in a time of accelerating change, our work is to marshal the educational resources needed for people all over the world to discover, claim, and pursue God's call to ministry through the United Methodist Church. If it were up to us, if it were only up to us, we should despair. Fortunately, it is not. Jesus Christ is with us. God is working among us, calling young people into ministry every day. And our job is to help them see and match hearing God's call with the work God is calling us all to do. May it be so. Thank you.